Hi, everybody. It's Jay, and I'm back in the booth again with you for another live preview reading for this week's release on Say with Jay. This week's audiobook premiere is Tender Mercies. It's book 8 in Jessie Gussman's Blueberry Beach Sweet Romance series, and I'm really excited to do this live reading for you. But first, we've tried a few different things over the last few weeks. Last week, we had a bit of a travelogue for you. The week before, we did some cooking. And, being the hip kids that we are, thought we would try mixing our social media here a bit. I'm talking about TikTok. If you're like many people, you've discovered the joy in these little short video clips of people doing everything from crazy dances to pet videos to cooking. And in fact, I'm not joking when I say that I've gotten a lot of great recipes from TikTok. There is kind of a subgenre of the recipe thing, though, where people present these, hey, you're not going to believe this, but kind of thing. And they're these really nutty, crazy recipes. And, people try them on camera and you kind of get their live reaction. Well, I thought, why not? Let's do that too. And as a bonus for me, I still get to eat. So, today we're actually going to try 2 of the more viral TikTok videos. One is a peanut butter and pickle sandwich. I'll be honest, this one kind of sounds like an April Fool's Day joke to me. But, being the brave soul that I am, let's give that a try. Okay, so the first step for this is you take your bread. I'm using a handcrafted artisan bread, as you can see here. Next, you want to get some peanut butter, some hand-ground nut butter, very exclusive, is what I'm going to use. And then you want to have pickles. I don't know, I can't think of anything special to say about pickles. The first thing you're going to want to do is lay your pickles out on a paper towel to let them drain a bit, blot them nice and dry. Then you want to lightly toast some bread. Once your bread is nicely toasted, you're going to spread your peanut butter on it and layer on the pickles. It really doesn't get any simpler than that. That's the recipe. I'm going to try it for you now. I have cut it into little triangles because I am, if nothing, fancy. Oh, look, there's a pickle just dangling off of it there. All right, I'm going to try it. Please remember, I love you all. And if something does happen, please somebody ask my mom to feed my cats. Or at least tell my son and my daughter-in-law to do it. Okay, no more beating around the bush, so... Shut up. Y'all, this is no joke. This is actually really, really good. I'm not sure quite how to describe it. Okay, the best description I can come up with, it's, how, like in peanut butter and jelly, how the peanut butter kind of tones down the sweetness of the jelly? This is like that, but from the other end of the spectrum, from the sour tart pickle end of the spectrum. This is actually really good. Yeah, I'm 100% gonna eat this again, and I'm definitely gonna finish this as soon as we get through. 9 out of 10. This is, wow. I'm very shocked. All right, one more. No, sorry. Okay. Wow. And that that kind of gives me hope for the next one, which I gotta admit is one that I don't know that I've really understood the need for. But again, it's another viral thing on TikTok, where people are talking about a way to make your own healthy Coke. I guess I don't drink enough Coca-Cola anymore that I think it's a health issue at all. But, apparently some people do. And the way that they suggest that you take a glass of ice, and don't be jealous at my fancy glassware. I am, as I said, if nothing, fancy. The original videos say any kind of sparkling water. They suggest like LaCroix, any flavor. I actually saw a doctor doing one of these, or I assume he's a doctor. What do I know? He had a tie and looked very boring. But he suggested something like San Pellegrino, which is supposed to have a very high sulfur content and supposed to be very good for your hair and your nails and blah, blah, blah. I did add a dash of lime juice to my water, but supposedly, okay, the way it works is this. You fill up your glass with mineral water, like so. The next ingredient is 2 ounces of balsamic vinegar. Why? I don't know. There. 2 ounces of balsamic vinegar. All right, this is going off the rails very fast. So I'm going to add 2 ounces, which I'm hoping I can measure without spilling. This is going to make my booth smell so terrible. Oh, this stinks so bad. So we're going to add our balsamic vinegar into our sparkling mineral water. Set that down there. Okay, we're going to give this a stir. Cheers. Nope, it is not good. Oh my gosh. Wow. As, that is, just in case that was just a, I'm not sure who came up with this idea or why they're so angry at people. Taste impressions? I would say, it tastes like salad, vitamins, and hatred. Oh my Lord. This is bad. Don't do this one. Yike. I don't care how healthy it is. Completely unnecessary. It's, I'm going to have to eat the rest of my peanut butter and pickle sandwich just to get rid of this. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this segment of TikTok with Jay. I think I'm going to go back to just doing regular recipes that I have tried and that people have a vested interest in tasting good. To sum up, I give the peanut butter and pickle sandwich a huge thumbs up. This, not at all. So, 1 second, and then we'll get on with the reason we're all here. Okay, let's take a look at this week's audiobook premiere here on Say with Jay. As I said, Tender Mercies is the 8th book in Jessie Gussman's Blueberry Beach Sweet Romance series. like the rest of the books in the Blueberry Beach series, it's a story that involves real people. I mean, characters that just feel like people you know. And they're looking for and finding love and happiness in real world situations. Situations that are, if they haven't happened to you, they probably have happened to people you know. And I love that about this whole series. It's still a wonderful romance, but it's so identifiable to me anyway. Now, at this point, I would usually tell you something about the story of the audiobook that we're looking at. This time, I'm not going to do that. And the reason is that Tender Mercies is centered around a secret that's been held a very long time, 40 years. And now that secret has to come out. Now, don't worry, this book, like all of the Blueberry Beach books, is filled with that Jessie Gussman romance magic, fun and family, and most certainly faith. Let's listen to the opening chapter of Tender Mercies, and I hope you enjoy it, and then you'll come back this Friday for the full release of Tender Mercies here on Say with Jay. Iva May clenched her hands in front of her and walked to her kitchen door. She'd asked Bev and Bill to meet her in her kitchen in her home not far from the church in Blueberry Beach after the Christmas Eve service. Bev was already there. Bill had just arrived. He'd stayed longer after the service to make sure everyone got out okay and to help clean up afterward. Iva May took a deep breath, closing her eyes, then blowing out slowly. It didn't really help with the nerves that made her whole body feel like she was on fire, despite the tiredness she fought. She'd kept a secret for 40 years, but tonight it was going to come out. She had to let it out. Pressing a hand on her stomach, she thought about her recent doctor's visit and the cancer that had spread through her body. If she didn't divulge the secret now, she might take it to the grave with her. And, while that was tempting, it wasn't right. It hadn't been right to keep it to begin with, to do what she had done. Iva May? Bev's voice held concern, and rightfully so, maybe, since she'd stopped halfway to the door and just stood there with her eyes closed and her hand pressed to her stomach. She took another breath, blowing it out before turning with what she hoped was a reassuring smile towards Bev. "I'm fine," she said, knowing it was mostly true. She would be fine. Hopefully would be fine. She hadn't wanted to lose Bev's friendship. She hadn't wanted to hurt the good man that Bill had become. And, if she were being honest, she hadn't wanted to lose her reputation in town. That had gotten more and more important as the years went by. All of it had. A lie never got easier to correct. Another soft knock at the door spurred her feet, and she moved the rest of the way, opening the door and smiling at Bill. His forehead was wrinkled, his brows drawn, his eyes concerned. That was Bill, always worrying about other people, putting himself last if necessary. Last to leave the church, last to be served, last to reap any benefits, but the first to give. Even if she were 10 years older than he was, they'd still made a good team through the years. He had money to give, but he hadn't wanted to be the face of it, hadn't wanted to have the whole town knowing that he was behind a lot of the good works that happened in Blueberry Beach. Saving the train shop, supporting the new consignment store in town, a generous donation to the ice cream shop, and paying unexpected bills and, in general, doing whatever he could for the businesses along the main street in Blueberry Beach. It had all been Bill, but coordinated by Iva May. "Are you okay?" he asked, apparently being able to immediately read the uncertainty in her eyes. Or maybe the nervousness. Or maybe her fear was leaking out. Before she could answer, his eyes seemed to be drawn to the table, and his focus went there. Iva May stood close enough to him that she could feel the shock that went through his body as his eyes met Bev's. Guilt pinched the fear away. Had she caused their breakup? She had. She knew she had. But at the time, it seemed like the right thing to do. She hadn't done anything with the intent to hurt them. She hoped they believed her tonight. "If you wouldn't mind sitting down," she said to Bill, who still stared at Bev, his face hard, expressionless, although she could feel the slight tremble in his arm when she touched it, turning him toward the table. If this was how he felt 40 years later, she should have stepped in, instead of keeping the secret and making it even worse with her actions. Bill gave her another glance, then put his hand over her fingers on his arm, patting them, like he knew she needed the reassurance. She definitely did. She blew out another breath. This was why she hadn't tried to do this before. She knew it was going to be one of the hardest things she'd ever done. Bill put a hand on the chair, but he made no move to sit down. Bev no longer looked at him, but slowly stirred her tea, the spoon clanking against the glass, loud in the otherwise silent room. "Can I get you something to drink?" Iva May asked Bill. He shook his head. "Please sit down." Maybe her face held pleading, or maybe his legs were shaking as much as hers were. Whatever it was, he gave her one glance, then pulled the chair out from the table and sank into it slowly, his hands resting on the table, not folded, just lying there, ready to strangle me. "I had wanted to do this when Kim was here, but she couldn't make it," she began, her hand on the back of the chair. Now she was the one having trouble sitting down. She turned to the refrigerator, opening the door and pulling out a cold bottle of water. She set it on the table in front of Bill's place. It was winter, Christmas Eve, and cold water probably wasn't what he wanted to drink, but she needed something to do with her hands. Something to do, period. "Does she need a ride?" Bill asked, immediately concerned. "No, she has her car back, but she just couldn't make it." Iva May tried to keep her worry from showing on her face. She was going to be dumping enough news on them. They didn't need to know that she suspected Kim had cancer. After all, she'd been at the doctor's multiple times, and she seemed to go back monthly. She'd recently split from her husband, and her daughter, who had been going to start college, decided to move to LA and become an actress instead. It felt like Kim's life had been falling apart all fall. Iva May loved her daughter with all her heart and had been slowly falling apart inside as well. Maybe Bill was responding to the tension in the room as he seemed to deliberately relax his hands. But as though he couldn't quite make himself be still, he slowly spun the water bottle in front of him, the plastic label crinkling as he did so. Iva May tried to channel some of the peace from the recent Christmas Eve service into her soul. Christ had come so that she could be forgiven. Christ had loved and forgiven. Christians were supposed to love and forgive. If only that were true. Sometimes it seemed like Christians were the least forgiving, least loving people on the planet. But not Bev and Bill. She had to believe that they would hear and understand why she had done what she did, and forgive. Love her anyway. Sitting down in her chair, she touched the handle of her coffee cup with one finger while trying to figure out where to start. With her cancer diagnosis? No, she might not even tell them that. With Kim? No, she wanted to build up to that. I guess you guys are wondering what I might have to tell you. She looked between the two of them. Bill's eyes concerned, worried. His whole being looked like he was ready to sweep her off her feet and carry her away to somewhere safe. He was like a son, and the idea made her smile. Someone who loved her so much he'd want to protect her with his life. Her eyes shifted to Bev, a true friend. There might be a decade and a half between them, but that made the relationship almost like mother and daughter. She wished it were true. Love shone from her eyes, but there was speculation there, too. Bev was more intuitive than Bill, and Iva May knew she already suspected tonight was going to change her life forever. Hi, this is Jay, and thanks for listening. If you're ready for another great audiobook, here's one we think you might like. Or check out the playlist with all our latest releases. Don't forget to subscribe to Say with Jay, give this video a thumbs up, and tell us what you liked in the comments.